All right, so we're going to get into some COVID nitty-gritty, and we're going to start by sharing a clip with you from 2021 because it's received the rounds once again as the Alberta NDP, that's led by Rachel Notley, have decided to attack Premier of Alberta, Danielle Smith, again for defending unvaccinated Albertans. And we have the original clip from 2021. Here it is.
I noticed you're not wearing a poppy, I'm not wearing a poppy, but they ruined it for me this year. The political leaders standing on their soapbox, pretending that they care about all the things that you just talked about, pretending they understand the sacrifice, and not understanding that their actions are exactly the actions that our brave men and women in uniform are fighting against. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch the Netflix series, How to Become a Tyrant, but it starts with Hitler in the first episode, and it's absolutely appalling and shocking.
Yeah.
How and it's one academic says, I know so many people would say, and they must have filmed this before COVID, so many people say that they would not have succumbed to the charms of a tyrant, somebody telling them that they have all the answers. And he said, I guarantee you would. And that's the test here, is we've seen it. We have 75% of the public who say, not only hit me, but hit me harder, and keep me away from those dirty unvaxxed. And even on the cover of the Toronto Star, saying, I want people who are unvaxxed to get sick and die, and I don't even care. I don't want them to get treatment. We're already hearing about people being denied treatment for not being vaccinated, being taken off the organ donor list. What are we becoming? What are we becoming?
Vile. That's vile and diabolical. Sorry.
It is diabolical.
Yeah. I love that woman. Hopefully I can call right? Premier Smith a woman and not offend a Supreme Court justice south of the border. But you know what? First thing I want to say, Tamara, that's news to me. A Netflix series called How to Become a Tyrant. You mean there's been a docudrama produced about Prime Minister Blackface? Holy mackerel. I'd like to watch that. Well, we're living it, aren't we? Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I think that it's really telling that the NDP has decided to rehash this clip and use it as some sort of campaign policy smearing of Danielle Smith, when people, on the other side of things who were completely ostracized from society over their personal medical choices are, kind of clapping in the background here and saying, yay, finally someone is speaking up at the injustice and the disgusting way that the government and society has applauded these measures. And I mean, these didn't come overnight. This was an orchestrated, coordinated behavioral modification campaign. There was behavioral science at play here. There was coordinated and orchestrated propaganda, reminders, nudges. This was all very well funded by us. Sadly, yes. It was taxpayer-funded campaign to generate 100% compliance with what was deemed as safe and effective, and don't question the science, and everyone should go out and get vaccinated, whether you're dying of cancer or you're trying to get pregnant.
Doesn't that say how much, Tamara, the NDP is so out of touch? I mean, if I was Premier Smith, I'm wearing that video clip as a badge of honor. I mean, imagine that, denouncing the Toronto Star for putting on the front page, I hope the unvaccinated get sick and die. Yeah, she's denouncing that. So that is a character flaw, according to the destroyer Rachel Notley. Are you kidding me? I mean, what else does Danielle Smith have in her closet? Maybe she denounced the most recent Bud Light marketing campaign. I mean, the people she's speaking to are thundering with applause. They're giving her a standing O for taking a commonsensical approach to the horror we went through via certain politicians and bureaucrats these past 3 years. That's a nothing burger there. That's not a gotcha moment, but according to Notley, she thinks so.
Well, and it's been rehashed now by the same media lapdogs that enabled this COVID hysteria and the response and squashed everybody who so much as questioned the narrative or had an opposing or different point of view and cheerleaded all of these measures on and actually asked for more. They were like, bring it on even more, lock us down harder. We want to wear the mask for forever, and you better make sure that the children do at school too, because there's this super spreader event that's never been proven to scientifically exist. But This has come back to fruition recently when Danielle Smith was asked by a reporter if she's a follower of Hitler at one of her wildfire pressers, following this recently resurfaced video clip of her. And, I applaud the way that she responded here because it was very professional. So we have this to share with you.
Premier, I just want to ask you, you were vaccinated in Arizona. You and your husband operated a restaurant in High River at the time of the comments that have been circulating. You were following these so-called tyrannical measures set out by your predecessor, Jason Kenney, called the Restriction Exemption Program. So you have to ensure guests are vaccinated before dining. If you say vaccinated Albertans are followers of Hitler, would you include yourself as Premier as a follower of Hitler? And why didn't you stand up against those measures from Jason Kenney?
Well, I've issued a statement regarding my comments. I've always remained a friend to the Jewish community, to Israel, and to our veterans. And I would ask you to reach out to my office for a copy of my statement.
Why is he outing her personal medical information too? He starts his question off with,
good
you
point.
were vaccinated.
Yeah.
Who do these people think that they are, that they get off on just willy-nilly throwing around people's medical information and trying to use that as ammo to kind of like throw it in her face?
All I can think of, Tamara, is the double standard. Whether once upon a time your medical information was sacred, no one had the right, but we saw the last 3 years. We had vaccine passports, we had vaccine apartheid. Yeah, it's a strong word. That's what we had. Mm-hmm. If you had the jabs, you could fly to another country, and if you didn't, you're grounded. And I've lost my train of thought to a certain extent, but this idea of smearing her. I don't see those kind of questions being directed at Rachel Notley. Kind of tells you where the media, even in Alberta, where I've lived there a couple of years, I would say it's the most American of all our provinces and territories. It is conservative predominantly. Mm-hmm. And yet, I guess we're going to find out later this month where the people of Alberta stand. What I've been told is that Edmonton, those seats are write-offs. They're NDP, government town. The rural areas, well, they're going UCP. And the battleground in the final analysis is going to be Calgary. That is where the election could be decided. I can't believe it. I mean, once upon a time with the old Progressive Conservative Party, that was a dynasty of some 70 years, I think they were in power. I can't believe it's that close in terms of Albertans buying leftism and wokeism. And I can't believe it's that close that given what's behind door number 2, you already saw the Rachel Notley show for 4 years. Our beloved colleague Sheila Gunn-Reid wrote a book called The Destroyers that was about the Rachel Notley NDP government. Mm-hmm. Tamara, do you think it's as close as the polls are suggesting, or
I'll deflect back to your interview there with Rob. What was his last name?
Rob Davis.
Rob Davis, yeah. Thank you. Where he said the polls are just a snapshot in time, right? They fluctuate. They're open to, who the pollster was, where they surveyed. So I try to take all polls with a grain of salt. I think that Alberta would be hard pressed to forget the reign of the NDP and the complete economic devastation and job loss that caused. So yeah, I guess time will tell, but I don't trust the polls. I hold them with a grain of salt.
I hope you're right. I have run this scenario by Sheila. She thinks it's accurate that Calgary is going to determine which way the province goes.
In that regard, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
And I would hate to think that is the case. I know Edmonton's a government town, but really, do you really want a repeat of the Rachel Notley regime?
Oh my goodness.
It's unimaginable
Good luck.
to me. Anytime, at the time when the Rachel Notley NDP was in power, I always said this is a statistical blip in the history of Alberta, never to be repeated. And now I'm led to believe that it's going to be a photo finish. Unbelievable. I pray for that province.
That's a clip from something we call Rebel News Daily. It's our daily live stream hosted by my friend David Menzies, but the show also includes a rotating cast of hosts and special guests, including me. It's a great way for us to talk about the news of the day as the news is happening in an unscripted fashion, and it's an awesome way for you to interact with us as well. We stream every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Mountain, wherever you find Rebel News. See you there.